Greetings, Andy here again, and I just got back from a sort of short holiday in Lisbon in Portugal, and I've decided to do this quick impromptu video, so it's going to be a real quick run through. So about usually once a year, I go away with my daughter and we have a foodie break, so we're both into food, and we visit a city somewhere in Europe and try out their cuisine. So this year we've been to Lisbon, had some great food. Now, this is about records, not food, but in case anyone's interested, I'll post some of the pictures at the end of some of the food we had, and a warning, there is octopus there. While I was away in Lisbon, I did visit visited a couple of record stores and bought a record. And I'll come to that in a minute. But more importantly, while I was in Portugal, my channel reached a big milestone of 1,000 subscribers. So I wanted to say, thank you to everyone who's subscribed and joined me on this channel and the journey we've been on together. So thanks for subscribing, and thanks for staying with me, and let's carry it on. So I thought also I ought to sort of somehow recognise that, do a bit of a theme linked to it maybe. So I sort of thought, well, what can I link to 1,000? So I thought, albums with 1,000 in the title. Well, good idea, Ford. Except I've only got one, so that didn't quite gel. And then I thought K's and M's, and I thought that's a bit, it's a bit sort of tenuous, isn't it? So I've ended up doing a link of records which have a number in the title somehow, which I really like. And there are lots and lots of these, of course. I've pulled out 8. One's a CD, and I'm going to run through those, linking my Portuguese record with the first of those that I'm going to do. So let me start with my Portuguese record. So I mentioned in a recent video that I was going to Lisbon, and Nathan, a subscriber, in the comments said, well, I live in Lisbon, why don't you try some of these record stores, and gave me a list of 4 record stores, and 2 of them were relatively they were in the sort of area we were in and looking around, and I had a look in those, and one of them I really liked, and did buy a record. Now I was quite limited. I've got no hold luggage, so there's quite a limit to what I could carry on. The record store which I bought from and spent a little bit of time in was called Louis Louis. So thanks, Nathan, for that recommendation. Lovely store, got lots of new music, new records. Obviously, lots of it was the same sort of stuff I might buy in the UK, so I didn't. It's a bit pointless doing that and carrying it back. The Dice used section is really good prices on those, but again, I couldn't really carry them. So I thought, well, I want to do something different. I'm in Portugal, so let me find a Portuguese band. So I had a look through the Portuguese section in there, and had a chat to one of the guys running it, and settled on this record by a band called Black Boman, and they're a trio. Ricardo guitar, Tojo bass, Senra drums, and they've got a couple of guests, including one Jose Arantes, who did all the recording and mixing of this. This is their debut, self-titled debut from 2009, but this is a 2023 reissue on heavyweight black vinyl, and it's real psych rock. Proper heavy psych rock instrumental. I really like it. I mean, getting it was a bit of a gamble, to be honest, but it was a reasonable price, and it survived the journey back just, and did get a bit clattered going through the baggy security. So I was quite worried about that, seeing it come down the chute from the X-ray machine. But anyway, we got there. The Black Boman are from northern Portugal, just sort of north of between Porto and the Spanish border above. It's a single LP. There's 6 tracks on side 1 and 3 on side 2. And as I say, it's really, really, really good heavy psych rock, and I do like a bit of heavy psych rock. And the band they most remind me of, the music reminds me of, is Earthless. And this is one of their albums. So Earthless are another trio, mostly instrumental, and they come from California. I think San Diego. I have mentioned this album before, but it was a while ago, and it's called Night Parade of 100 Demons. That Night Parade of 100 Demons is a sort of Japanese myth, legend, tale, where apparently on a particular night of the year, in a particular village, the demons, 100 demons, march through the village, and the villagers have to hide, because if any of them see one of the demons, they become one themselves. And all this artwork, which does look very genuinely Japanese to my eye, was done by one of the band members. I think the bassist, I can't remember, but that is also really, really good heavy psych rock. It does what it says on the tin. A slightly less heavy psych rock, but still definitely in the psych rock theme, is Wooden Ships. And Wooden Ships is one of Ripley Johnson's bands, along with Moon Duo, who maybe slightly better known. And this is their fifth album, called Five, Five as in Roman numeral 5. And it's a single LP. It came out in 2018, I think, if memory serves. And this one was on red vinyl, and it includes a single LP. And one of their best tracks is Ride On, which is, I think that's brilliant. And that's on there. Now, still on the psych rock, I'm just going to flash this one because I have spoken about it a few times and quite recently, and that is Black Mountain and their album 4. And this Black Mountain, and as I say again, it's psych rock. It's not hugely heavy psych rock compared to some of the others. This came out in 2016. Cracking album. It's got Mother. It's quite sort of. It's not just psych. It's not prog, but it's sort of got prog tendencies in terms of the titles and things like that. So we've got Mothers of the Sun, Florian Saucer Attack, and it closes with a sort of however long, 15 odd minutes, absolutely epic, brilliant Space to Bakersfield, which I've talked about before. So that's another one for. I've actually just thought, nice psych rock I've got, which I haven't pulled out, is Pond, another one I mentioned fairly recently. Pond from Western Australia, Perth, and they again, it's sort of Aussie psych rock, and their last album was called 9, and I do have that, but I've just remembered it. So anyway, moving on. So in a Rush. It's Rush in 2112, and this, in some ways, I wouldn't say necessarily it's musically their most proggy, but theme-wise. So it's a theme concept back to forward to a dystopian future in 2112, and that takes up the whole of side 1 and is broken down into 7 parts. Now, if that's not prog, I don't know what is. But they're also, they're a power trio. They're fairly heavy. It's not out and out traditional prog, but hey ho, it's a good album. And let me mention, while we're still on the heavy front, the magnificent Volume 4 by Black Sabbath. So this was a box set reissue which came out fairly recently, a couple of years ago, I think. And it's got 5 tracks. I didn't have it originally in the day. I did have a later reissue, which wasn't in brilliant condition, to be honest. And I sort of came across this. It was really good value. It was quite heavily discounted, so it obviously didn't sell quite as much originally. I can't remember how much I paid for it, but it was a good buy. It's 5 LPs on here. The LP1 obviously is the original LP, but a remaster, 2021 remaster. And then there's a couple of LPs with outtakes, new mixes, alternate takes, full start, studio dialogue. And normally I don't really bother with that sort of stuff, but I listened to these a couple of times and they're quite good, quite enjoyable. I enjoyed it. And then the last two, LP4 and LP5, is a live, a double live album, effectively from 1973, and it's it's got obviously a number of the tracks from this album, well-known ones like Snowblind, Cornucopia, Tomorrow's Dream, etc. But obviously it's also got some of their best-known ones like War Pigs, and of course it closes on Paranoid. So that's a cracking one. And I'm also going to mention a CD that I've got, and I've got to include this because it is one of my favourite records, which has a number on it. It's Damen Rice O, or is that zero, naught? And this is his debut, which comes from 2003, I think. And it's a cracking. He's Irish. It's sort of singer-songwriter, folky, quite folky, but in a really good way. And there's some great tracks on here. The Blower's Daughter, I think, is magnificent, and it closes Eskimo as well. And the whole thing is cracking. Now, this it came out on CD. It was not issued on vinyl originally. I listen to this quite often, and every now and then have a look. But it was reissued not that long ago, to 21, I think. And obviously I missed it, but it's still available at new price. I just ordered that, pulling it out. I thought, I'll have another look. So looking forward to that coming. And as we're running down now, we're in slightly more soft rock, indie rock area, and Blur and their album 13. This is one from, when was it, 1999. And this is one of my favourites of their albums. It's a lovely album. It's got some, so opens with Tender, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Bugman, Coffee and TV. I mean, it's an all killer, and it's got also the magnificent No Distance Left to Run on it. So, and to finish, we come to my record with 1,000 mentioned in the title, and it's Elbow and their album Cast of Thousand. So this is their second album, came out in 2003. One of my favourites of theirs, and saw them a few times in the OOs, but we saw them play at a sort of, it was like a mini festival, 2-day mini festival at Old Trafford Cricket Ground in Manchester in 2003, and they obviously were playing this, and a Fugitive Motel, the performance was magnificent, and Grace Under Pressure, they played, plus obviously stuff from their first album. That was a cracking, it wasn't like a proper festival because it was in a cricket ground, but it was over 2 days. One day was really hot and the other day was really cold. It was typical Manchester, but they had some great bands on there. So, headlining one day was the Manic Street Preachers, and the other day was REM. Also had the Flaming Lips on there, obviously Elbow, and a whole host of really good bands. That was a great gig. Anyway, there we go. So thank you again for subscribing and staying with me and joining me on this journey, and let's continue it. Thank you so much, and thanks for watching, and see you next time. Cheers.